it sounds like the value is high for biosimilars. You all have a good long-term strategy, and you believe it's critical for that long-term strategy. Kathy, you've even said even a 5% difference could be meaningful. And so this notion that had to be 30% often touted in 2-3 years ago. What did biosimilars have to do to really get market adoption, make an impact for the limitations we talked about earlier? And yet I'm hearing as low as 5% could be significant. So all that sounds like it's really strong.
One of the things I forgot to mention, Bruce, is that, as you see multiple biosimilars coming into the market, what we actually see is that the wholesale acquisition cost of the list price of the reference product actually stops increasing in price. And then also the ASP starts going down. So that's one of the things that we don't actually kind of think about, where we're lowering the cost. If we didn't have the biosimilars, that cost of the reference product would continue to go up, and also the ASP would continue to go up.
Well, let me challenge you with the counter. And the counter is that, as a result of what we're saying today and the compelling case you're making for biosimilars, we have a company which is so significantly impacted by biosimilars, Genentech, decides they're going to go to parity with the best of the current biosimilar contracts for each of their brands. Do you go back to the established brand that has all the evidence?
Absolutely. I mean, if it's all about cost.
Wait a minute, say it again. I mean, is that absolutely?
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to lower the price to the level of the biosimilars, or even lower, if it's more competitive, then of course.
All right. Anyone else want to weigh in? I mean, because if it's strictly a price story, then the question is how close of price parity.
I think that to kind of, these companies, they actually have enjoyed exclusivity for such a long time, right? So, I mean, it's not fair that the healthcare system, the patients and the insurance companies, we actually pay for the increase in price of these. So for a Genentech drug that you talked about, when they actually increased the price of that drug in 2 years, it actually resulted in almost $1 billion increase to the healthcare system because of the price increase. And that would have never been resolved if we didn't have a biosimilar coming through. So I think that, they would have to come down to the level if they wanted to.
And that was my reason for asking.
Because we have had that conversation. And the answer within our organization is certain originator companies had their chance to be good partners. Some chose to, some chose not to. To your point, we will not be going back to certain originator manufacturers. Because again, we're looking at that much larger picture, even with a parity contract, because we believe in the science and the innovation behind that whole biosimilar market.
I am feeling like Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, and this is making the nightly news. Thank you, Kathy. We just did that. That was great. All right. No, but I think it's realistic, and I wanted to, the candor is so important for the audience to understand that this is a complex issue.
I'd like to add also, the point that we made earlier about infliximab versus oncology biosimilars. This is what happened in the infliximab space, was that the originator product came out and dropped their price really, really low and dangled that in front of a lot of payers and health systems. And some did choose to take that, early on, let me get this cost savings right away in year one, and some chose to wait it out. So I do think that it's a little bit of both, and it really just depends on the financial situation of the decision maker at that point in time.
This is a really complicated subject. We always look at it from this perspective: how can we add the most value to the patient and the healthcare process? But we're seeing examples of where some of the originator products, because of the larger rebates they can provide, they're actually, even though it's a more expensive product for the patient, the provider's hands are sometimes even tied and are told they have to give the originator product, because of other rebates that come into play. And so that's where it just gets so complicated quickly. And each situation, case scenario is not only unique, but complicated.